If you did not miss the video that Joey and I did on his channel where we tried to use upper hand Weavile and instead put on an absolute clinic with Quaquaval, well, you're gonna understand the demon that this Pokemon is. As Joey put it, it's literally this generation's Kartana. It can take games over very, very easily with Moxie and Aqua Step. And this UU game, absolutely no different, except this is perhaps one of the funniest outcomes to Quaquaval, because, spoiler alert, this is a defensive Quaquaval. Why the hell did I just watch it smack the taste out of this team? Oh my lord, it's one of the funniest games I've ever watched from SCL. We got some PU games as well today. You may wonder why I'm not covering the NU ones. They were not very interesting. It was Stall getting beat down, and I'm not covering 2 Stall games. I say beat down, by the way. It was an incredibly close game. I don't want to cover 2 Stall games. And then the other game was a timer loss, which tough, man, tough. So it happens to the best of us. I didn't want to put my homie on blast like that. So we're gonna cover PU instead. Plus, I think it's always nice to talk about other tiers, and I've been playing it more lately, so may as well impart some knowledge. Of course, before we get too far into it, if you are not yet subscribed, or you think you're subscribed, but you check and you're actually not, make sure you do go down there, hit that button, stick around for a good time, man. We're on our way to 10k subs. There's gonna be a great video post once I hit 10k. It's gonna be worth the wait. Now, this game here. Now, from preview, it's kind of tough because I look at this team and I think there is definitely an inherent advantage to be had. Mostly because of the Enamorous. Enam is going to have free real estate all over this Skarmory. You think you get a spike ever? No, I get a free time to come in and I Moonblast. Skarm, as everyone is aware, this mon does not have special bulk. It is incredibly fragile. And Moonblasts from Enamorous are going to do damn near half. That is how unbulky and anti-bulky this mon is. And so if Tran comes out, I mean, that's not really much better. You get threatened by Earth Power. You're essentially forced, if you do not want to cede a ton of momentum to the opponent, you always got to get like Tran in on the Moonblast, and then you always got to get Thundurus in on a follow-up Earth Power. The problem with this is Thundurus is just gonna be sat on by Claude. The thing with Thundurus now is with Okidogi gone, Psychic has a lot less reason to be run. Clodsire is not really that relevant in UU, and as a result, people are not going to keep running Psychic, because why would I? I'd rather have a different move, like Sludge Bomb or Grass Knot, because Gastrodon is mildly relevant. So Claude is going to be able to always come in on those Thundurus plays, and it's like, okay, well, maybe you gotta then just get another switch. I'll get my Hoopa in on the Claude, or my... what would I go? Maybe Quavo yourself. Threaten an Aqua Step. Claude could be Water Absorb, it could also be Unaware. There's only one way you can find out, though, and that's by hitting it. Basically, what I'm saying at is here is Liss needs to get several turns right in a row, and Phoenix can kind of just throw off attacks with Enamorous and not really care. So, for preview, it's pretty dirty, right? I do think the ability for Liss to win this game is not, like, absent. You've got Hoopa plus Zarude. I think these two synergize really well together. It's just more traditional dark spam. Hoopa's going to be able to apply a lot of pressure to the Enamorous here. The one holdup I would say is, again, I kind of spoiled it. This isn't something you'd know at preview. But defensive Quavo is going to be able to take Hyperspace Furies insanely easily. And so if this is a Scarfed Hoopa, you give up a lot of momentum anytime you Hyperspace into this. You're going to have to make some reads. And Hoopa, the one thing that does hold it back beyond the speed, it is not exactly the most unpunishing mon to lock into moves with. You know, Psychic, got a lot of common immunities in a tier filled with dark types. And to go for your coverage moves are just like, damn, I'd rather do anything else. So, let's see, how do we get to our Thundurus. Saw them on, I'm like, yeah, that's all I could think of. How do we get to our Quaquaval schmixing? So it's led off Tornadus versus Thundee. This is the freest U-turn of your life. And Claude comes out, and you immediately see the problem here. This Thundurus, if it had Psychic, would probably go for it right there. It's a free turn. It would give you damage, and you get rid of Thundurus, or you get rid of Claude, or you get it really low. Maybe SD Quavo, or even Scarf Quavo. We saw one used last week of SCL. Perhaps it does something, but Balloon Tran is also good. You will literally wall Quavo. I can't speak, I'm so sorry. Balloon Tren will walk Clodsire. I'll get into it eventually, I promise. Sets the rockers. Unfortunately, we immediately see this as Rapid Quavo, which means it is very, very defensive, meaning a lot of this team kind of starts to struggle identity-wise because it is literally Hazard Stack, and there's no spin block to be had anywhere. Something's probably Terra Ghost, but, you know, what's Terra Ghost and wants to deal with Quavo? I don't know. And also, what of these mons do you want to Terra? Like, are you gonna Terra just to deny the spin? I don't know. But here we see what I'm talking about with Hawaiian Amorous is just so annoying. Moonblast does so much, and these Roost PowerPoint, using Roost all this here actually comes back to Biteless a little bit later. Maybe not, but I'm gonna say it does because I feel like it. As we said in preview, the problem is you gotta go Tran immediately after this. You gotta lose your Balloon, and now you're weak to Earth Power, so now you gotta like do something, go back to Thunders here. Cloud comes out, knowing it can check Tran. We actually do see a Magma thrown off, so Liz was happy to literally just take Chip on the Anam because of how big of a threat it is. Like, even though Anam would have killed Tran afterwards with Earth Power, it's like, you gotta take the damage if you can get it. You do a ton because it's offensive Tran. So now we get Torn Out versus the Scarb. You can throw off a Knock. This is really good now because Quavo is just going to be able to do whatever it wants versus Scarm. Brave Bird is not even a 2-shot, so you can always spin. You don't care about helmet anymore, and you can spam Aqua Steps as well. It's very nice for the long term. Thundurus now comes out, and this chip on Thundurus is always going to be good because now after U-turn, Thundurus potentially is just 2-shot by a Bleak Wind. It's definitely 2-shot by a Heat Wave, which is pretty nasty. And again, we're playing to the long term here, so Claude gets to come out, recover up, and Zarude is here. I'm gonna be honest, Zarude ain't doing a whole lot as long as Torn's alive. You can see there, Knock is not 2-shotting, Bleak Wind is gonna smoke your shit, so they Terra Fairy, and I felt like this Terra was a little bit early. Which kind of goes back to the game of Lisses versus PDT, where they almost lost the entire game because of a kind of ambitious Terra. I think the logic on this Terra here is not wanting to give up momentum. The Thundurus is already really, really low. It can't really risk coming out on a Bleak Wind because it's just 2-shot by the combo of Bleak Wind and a Heat Wave, right? Tran doesn't want to come out because it's already so low as is, and you kind of want it to still exist as a pivot into a NAM, even if it's just to reposition, or come out and then threaten damage with Magma, right? If you're able to get on a Moonblast or whatever move that is not Earth Power. And so they'd rather burn Terra here with Zarude, and at the very least, if the Torn does go for Bleak Wind, well, maybe able to punish something. They Trailblaze up, which to me just says they expected U-turn and wanted to catch Quavo on the switch. With all the spikes up, Trailblaze would obviously easily be 2-tapping. Maybe even Okoing. I don't know the calc off the top of my head. But I do believe that most of this is just a matter of not wanting to give up the momentum and to still keep more of your Pokemon alive and at a bit more HP than if you had to bring them out, right? The only caveat to this is, like, this is almost certainly Flame Body. If you're predicting a U-turn, probably still try and threaten it anyway. And now Scarm comes out. Also, I'm not a fan of going Scarm if you're predicting an Earth Power on the follow-up at all. I think you gotta go Thundurus and threaten T-Bolt. Or not even that. I think you just gotta threaten. I think you gotta go Thundurus and then try to double around and just look for better positioning. But that's me. Body Press to meta does nothing at all. This is Metagross, by the way. You're about to see some vile damage. Goodbye, Thundurus. Just cleanly 2-shot. And then, oh, Hoopa comes out. Well, you're gonna see some nasty damage as well. Look at this Bullet Punch. Damn near 40, bro. Like, why is this 2-shot after the hazards? This is evil. Quavo now comes out. Knows, of course, this is a Scarf Hoopa locked into the hyperspace, so they do not care at all. These are free roosts. Hyperspace does literally 0, and you just get to spin immediately. Now, you're about to see some, again, more diabolical behavior. And this is what we call the beginning of the end. You are about to see this Quaquaval accrue as many boosts as it wants. There is nothing this Scarb can do. You want to see Brave Bird damage? Well, you're going to have to wait. I'm not showing you yet. Maybe, this turn. Aqua Steps, good. Brave Bird, yeah. See Brave Bird? Nothing. Light work. A light snack. A mid-afternoon treat. Maybe after work you went by McDonald's. You needed something to eat and you'd fill up your belly after a hard day at the office. You just smoked Smoked itself, dude. Brought that upon yourself, Skarmory. Now Nazruto comes out and just gets 2-shot. Now the Quavo has all this speed and an attack boost, and like, what do you even go to? They got to their own Quavo. The problem is, okay, if the Aqua Step is just because you have nothing else. Swords Dance, you are not killing me with a CC. So another Aqua Step comes out. They try to step too. The problem is now you just died a helmet. Good night. You are not him. That is Quaquaval. Defensive Quaquaval gets 5 billion turns to do whatever it wants. And it just takes over the game. It's insane. I think this Mon probably is going to just continue rising. Remember, there was a period of time where I believe it did get banned from UU. And I don't think we're going to head back to that type of Quaquaval dominance. But it is certainly one of the best Mons in the format right now. And definitely needs people to just keep using it. I'm not sure I like defensive Quavo at all, but I think this is like one of the funniest and best showcases you could have wished for out of it. Anyhow, now we get to some PU. Fish Thermometer versus Mikhail de Besta. Basically, it's two hyper offenses. You could... This is like not a unique team. We saw someone else bring Gastrodon offense earlier in the tournament, and I'm not entirely sure how much I vibe with Gastro offense, but I think it's a cool idea, especially since Gastro technically has access to both rocks and spikes. So if you want to have both, you just literally can. Or you could just have spikes if you want and say, all right, well, I have a nice defensive presence that can get all my layers. Meanwhile, on Fish Thermometer's side, they got Hatchrim plus Scyther, which to me screams this is an Eviolite Scyther. Potentially Salazzle, something like Focus Sash as well, because you got the Magic Bounce. You're also going to have Healing Wish to enable this absolute bastard of a Pokemon. There's actual, like, people... Okay, people, and maybe person, but I saw someone saying Rhydon should be banned from PU right now because it's actually, like, that insane. And I'm gonna be honest, yeah, it is a pretty absurd Pokemon in PU. Like, you look at the PU VR and you look for Rhydon checks, and there's really not a lot at the top. So I do think that's been a pretty interesting development. I am definitely going to keep an eye on how PU develops to try and contain this menace, because, yeah, it's a really damn solid Pokemon, especially with Terra. You actually, I mean, we always talk about how Terra on Rhydon is actually cool, because you can get rid of your ground type, still have Lightning Rod, and now you have a useful ability. It's insane. But, sure, like, we just gassed up Rhydon on top. Dude, literally look at the team it's facing. It's so good. Checks Tox, checks Arcanine, checks Scyther. I would say it too checks Zoroark, just because this mon learns moves like Focus Blast and Grass Knot. Even you can talk like Low Kick / Knockoff as Rhydon deterrents, but it still checks Zoro. Obviously, it can smoke Frostmoth as well. You're gonna have to Terra though, so you don't die to an Ice Beam. I mean, hell, it pressures Gastro pretty well. Gastro has to switch in to the Dawn, otherwise. Like, what else is taking a hit, dude? What is taking my Stone Edge? You better hope that it's the air next to your Pokemon. If I don't land to the left every time I use this move, you are losing every time. Every time I click this move, you are dying. So, it's a pretty evil matchup for Fish Thermometer here. If you are Mikhail, I do feel like, at the very least, I talked about a ton of Pokemon that are checked by Rhydon. Kind of works against Fish as well, because if all of Toxed, Arcanine, and Scyther just keep pressuring the Dawn, yes, there is Healing Wish support, but if you don't allow it, which is easier said than done, but if you don't allow it, then potentially one of those 3 goons is able to sweep later on. Also, I mean, Frostmoth doesn't really have a lot of solid counterplay on this team to it. You definitely aren't just smoked at preview, but it is a mon you're going to have to make sure to limit the turns that it gets with. So, I'd be looking towards those two guys for sure. Or, well, this guy and then, like, that identity of just overloading the Dawn. If you can do it, then I think there's a route. Zoro as well is always kind of just annoying. Whenever Zoro works good in a tier, it's a pretty annoying mon because it learns a billion coverage moves, and it's just going to threaten every one of your Pokemon with a bad time. So, and yes, it is an SCL game, by the way, guys. Arcanine led with against Prison Strip. The Bombardier is going to eat this Flare Blitz up, live on the in with a Focus Sash, and set some nice little Stealth Rock. When you see fish, of course you preserve the Bombard always there. There's no reason to sack it. You have a Dawn. This Mon is walling. You may as well preserve your Mon, use it as a sack layer. That's what I'm talking about too. Gastro has to come out and it has to recover immediately because Q does so much. If the Dawn ever sword stances, it's bad. We also see Frostmoth immediately lose any threat level it could have had by getting nuzzled. And even full parrot there, like that's really ass. Because okay, so they went into Scyther here knowing Gastro would come out, but like, in theory that was a free knock. I guess it's less free because these are always pretty much sticky hold helmet. So it wasn't a free knock, but shut up. Scyther SD's up here. The Gastro goes for a Surf. It does nothing at all. And now it's forced into Terra Fairy just so Trailblaze does not absolutely pack it up. Like, Scyther in this matchup is disgusting. Just full disclosure, Scyther 6-0s this team under most circumstances. Mikhail definitely bailed a little bit here, though, by dodging a wing beat. Because now the Scyther has to go for more sword stances just to get rid of Gastro. I guess it's not even really a bail, though, because literally this is the point always. Make sure that this takes 2 rounds of helmet and then dies to E-speed. Never mind. He just wasted some turns. Dawn comes out again because Fish is a very intelligent player. Will preserve every sack they have. And, I mean, again, this Mon is not a threat when it comes out. All that is happening is it is taking more and more chip from Stealth Rock. And it's also not lefties, which is really odd. I don't know what item you are running. Maybe Silk Scarf. So Scyther comes out again. Very nice Rock Slide there. Knowing that, well, with Gastrogon, you could Rock Slide there always. Tox now comes out, which this to me says Zoroark always. And yeah, Dark Pulse is because, like, come on, why are you going Toxtricity versus a Rhydon, man? Come on. And it's also why it's so good that they kept sacks. Look at that. We also need a Salazzle. It's forced out because it's a Jetpack. I thought that was really funny. It just gives a free Dawn. Though interestingly enough there, they end up sacking Scyther. I think because they don't want to take the CC chip, which makes sense to me. Lazzle now comes out. We do not see an E-Speed. Like, it has E-Speed. It's used it, and also it's an Arcanine on HO. It's always going to have E-Speed. Presumably, they didn't go for it because they didn't want... They didn't want Rhydon pivoting in. You know what? Maybe this is Bandit Arcanine on offense. Because it's technically not hyper offense in a traditional sense of lead hazards and then have sweepers. I think that's what I am clued in on now. It's probably also his Defog Frostmoth, by the way. So it is just a hard offense, but with Bandit Arcanine. Alright, never mind. How did I not figure that out in the first watch through, you may ask? That's gonna be a question you have to get answered another day anyhow. The Dawn comes out again. This time they EQ because they don't need to risk a miss with Rock Slide. Earlier on it was more worthwhile, though, to potentially catch Scyther, given how good it is into the team. And once again, we will always see Fish make sure to scout out just in case the Zoroark is the Mon that is out. And they can now get Sucker Chip onto Tox. Easy 2-tap. Zoroark has to come out here because otherwise you will always lose the game. And it very intelligently is able to get in on that Sucker Punch. So now the Dawn's going to be sacked at immediate Grass Knot just to make sure that there's no tricky business going on. The problem is, Hat will be getting off this Healing Wish. Very unfortunate for Mikhail, because now Grimm's back to full. And it ain't over till it's over, but unless Zoroark gets a crit Sludge Bomb here, the game has been won by Fish. And as you can see, no crit to be had. 72, though, is insane damage. Spirit Break, breaking the spirit of Mikhail, and the Islanders were eliminated as well. But very cool game, though. I thought both the teams were really sick. This idea of the Gastro offense, though, is something I may fuck around with some, too, because, again, it's been used a decent amount, and you get to use a ton of potent Pokemon. I know it sounds weird, Arcanine being a top 3 Mon in the format, but it is genuinely just really, really good. Scyther getting suspect test hype. Not hype, it's literally being suspect tested. Zoro, I guess I could say, getting suspect test hype, and then Toxtricity. I don't know how this Mon is still legal. I think it is just because Gastrodon usage is so high. I think PU has gaslit itself into believing Toxtricity is a healthy presence. Admittedly, it's not like it's uncheckable, but this is one of the most random Mons to never get... Actually, no. I was gonna say to never get suspect test / ban consideration, but I'm pretty sure it's been voted on several times. And it just never got banned. They always felt like they had just enough counterplay in the tier. Very funny. Let me out this game now. I'm gonna be honest, coming into this game, I had no idea how JYT had a winning chance into this. This stall just looks very, very sturdy. My one thought pretty much is this. If one of these mons is trick, I guess it's annoying. Because you could potentially get a trick like if you're mellow under the Woach. And then maybe Meloetta can do something. But I also don't feel like you want to trick away your item. Like if it's specs Meloetta, you'd rather have the specs. I would always rather just try and force the Woach to Terra with something else. Or even, I guess, Mellow itself, because the Mon learns Focus Blast. You could definitely make it Terra. Or maybe make it Terra with, I don't know, Florg. I just don't think Florg's ever going to be the one to do that, right? I feel like that's the only way you ever win this game, though, for JYT. You have to force the Woach to Terra. And it's easier said than done when there's so much that can switch into Mellow. Pretty much, this is the type of game where if you don't play perfectly, you lose. I just think the stall Jixie brought is very, very solid looking, and I'm not sure anything other than perfectly played specs Meloetta ever wins this. Because like Arcanine, I don't see that sweeping versus Knackle plus Gastro. Abomasnow in theory is just here for Veil. Alola Slash, I guess Alolan Sandslash could do something versus Gastro. Like if you SD up, maybe Icicle Crash with a bit of chip is gonna just smoke it. Like think about Arcanine to pivot around, but you have to pivot super perfectly as well. Maybe you have to have Terra around for your Arc to not die to an EQ. Frostmoth is never winning any battle, I don't care what you say. Pretty bleak. Let's see what happens. So Abomasnow's led with. Woach is the lead from GXC. He can always switch out to Cryogonal here really, really easily, so Cryo is the play. This Blizzard does absolutely freaking nothing at all. But, on the flip side, Alolan Sandslash could always switch into the Cryo very easily, so this is always just a free turn to throw off like a Crash, an EQ, whatever the hell you want to go for. You can boost up if you really want it as well, but as you see here, that's not going to get you anywhere when Arcanine comes out and takes that little. As Mellow now comes out, and you're about to see why Meloetta is able to save this game. So, raw Focus Blast. Ka-chow. Woach gets packed up very, very quickly as a Abomasnow comes out, and the Woach had to Terra. So, you remember that condition I said where you have to have a perfectly played Meloetta to win this game? Yeah, perfectly played right there, landing on the Woach. You know it's specs, and you know it's Psychic moving out. If it's Psyshock, which it is. You run Psyshock always on specs. Mellow, just because the counterplay is generally just bogs. In PU, the counterplay to strong special attackers, like Mellow, is typically not steel types. It is just generic special walls. So Psyshock's always just going to be good for general mileage. Anyhow, Alolan Sandslash getting that positioning versus the Cryo, but wanting to switch immediately because it does not trust that Florgus yet. And we also see now, not only was it Scarf Obama, but it's Scarf Florg on GXE's team too. So it's, I guess you could argue it's a bit more of a semi-stall than it is a full stall. They trade hits there, so Slash comes back out. Once again, it's like you get a free attack, it's not really going to do anything. And here you see it literally does nothing, because Gastro, yeah, 23 is not damage. So Sandslash has to go into Florg. Now, we actually see a very cool Florgus tech here. It's Copycat. So the Florg is actually able to also get spikes up. Now you may think that doesn't really matter, and you're not wrong. There is a full Cryogonal here. I can't dispute that. But you still get to see all the spikes go up. And the cool thing too for later, you could actually just Copycat Rapid Spin. So if they want to spin, you can literally just copy it and say, okay, no, all the hazards are gone. Fine. So Frostmoth comes out. We actually see it takes damage from spikes. It ends up being lefties, which I thought was interesting. We now see what I thought was one of the worst Terras of the week. I just didn't really understand it here. In theory, the idea is I don't want to take a ton of damage from Sulk here. There's a full health Cryogonal, which just comes out here after another Quiver and just hazes. Now, I think what the idea was, in addition to not wanting to get smoked by Sulk here, I think JYT did this probably, okay, one, he probably didn't think his Terra was that important in this game. Two, I think he thought can't speak. His mental process was probably, if this isn't haze, then I do just win here. They're all haze, though. Anyhow, Mellow, now you're going to see Meloetta and why it's able to put so much pressure on this game. It literally just forces GXE to spend 5 billion turns recovering. So I'm going to skip ahead, because literally all you see for the next, like, 10 turns is like, recovery clicked. So Meloetta just went and used 10 Psyshocks to get this down to 4 out of 8 and to get Knackle down to 2 out of 8. There you go. And now Floric, Moonblast doing comparatively less, but Floric is also going to be able to get Knackle to waste another. This is pretty much how you have to face Stall. You have to play really, really aggro, and you got to make sure you cost them their resources. And in this case, recovery costed resources, and since this is a Scarf Florgus, like, it's probably still Trick Scarf, it's probably still Trick with Wish, but you want to try and get rid of the longevity where you can. So Moth again comes out, and since it is a Frost Moth, it's going to take like 5 from Freeze Drag up here, so it doesn't really care that, you know, no boost this time. Cragnol, this is not damage, so you just get to defog again. You could even Quiver up again if you really want, but naturally that's not really going to get you anything. Ice Beam here instead does 1 billion to Gastro. Switch here, looking to catch the Cryo, and now you got Gastro low. So in theory, this Sandslash is actually pretty decent now. It's actually not too bad. He ends up going for an SD. If he's on Terra, by the way, I think Sandslash, assuming it was like Terra Ground or something, Sandslash probably was a huge threat. Arcanine comes in though, on the mirror. We see it's just especially offensive, bulky Arcanine. And the Arcanine from JYT, instead of being an Intimidate one like they normally are, it's Flash Fire. So he's able to come in on Flamethrower, literally be immune, and now he looks for a couple curses. And this won't be a problem yet. I mean, Knackle is still alive with recovery. Gastro's low, but not dead. But keep in mind, this mon is scary. Obviously, he knows a Trick is a threat. You'll see this sequence as well come back later. It's irrelevant. So he ends up going a Bomb again, because he expects Trick. And he, at this point, sees the low Gastro and the Knackle with only 2 recovers left and says, damn, Arcanine actually has a chance to win now. So it's just smart to preserve this. And you don't need, like, sure, you could have let it eat in the Trick there, but then GXC would just look for some Intimidate shuffling with Arc. You wouldn't really have to shuffle, he'd just go Arc and then beat you down 1v1 with Scorching Sands. So it just makes it a lot easier long term if Arcanine, you know, does not eat the Trick there just to get rid of Florg. You'd rather keep Arc's actual sweeping potential around for the entirety of the battle. So Florg once again, as we see after all that nothing that happened, Knackle wasted another recover. Florg copycats, and there it is again. Copycat the spin is hilarious. The cool thing too about this set is it actually just saves you power points in a stall matchup. And GXC is, I don't want to say he's known as a stall player, but he definitely is known to bring the stall. So I think it's a cool pick. Again, it gives you potentially as well the ability to copy like wishes, which is nice. Just again, all about winning the sustain battle where you can. So Welch comes out, he's just looking to burn some sleep turns here. They finally did get rid of Gastro there. So, I mean, hell, that is an Arcanine roadblock. It's a Sandslash roadblock. The game is opening up a lot for Mr. Campbell here. Copying Rest there is hilarious. It's such a waste of a turn. We're also going to see this Woach sit here for a while, which I'm very uninterested in showing you all. So we're going to just wait until the Woach is gone. Nothing's happening here. It's just Wochian resting. A Bomb still getting past a Wish, though, is pretty significant, just because, as you saw earlier, it does take 1 million from Moonblast. So now it can actually switch into another, which is good. Arc, once again, back out. And probably predicts the Florg to come out here. Knackle comes in, whatever. You will continue to see this mon played very, very cautiously. There is no reason to ever risk the Wish here. Or not the Wish, the Trick. Florg gets some chip off on the Arc. On the other side, Arcanine once again comes out. This time goes for Curse. I was gonna say gets another. I know it gets another here. And in a key turn in the battle, on turn 83, JYT predicts the Florgus to come out and blitzes and gets rid of it. So, had GXC stayed in its Scorching Sands, this would have been terrible for JYT because he would have not killed. This would just two-shot. It would not be like, oh, he just loses the game now. You still have Specs Meloetta in an incredibly favorable position kind of sucks that this is at full with both rest turns burned, but still is very, very favorable. You also would still have a Lowland Sandslash in a very favorable position too, because you would have just chipped the shit out of the Arcanine here. But getting rid of Florg now opens up the Arcanine itself to just win the game. It's still not over yet, of course. You see the knock here. It's just good to get rid of the lefties. Arcanine's going to Morning Sun back up. And here you're going to see a very key move revealed, Will-O-Wisp. So, is an interesting Arcanine. Normal, again, Flash Fire is already rare. Normally you see E-Speed with Terra Normal. So, Wisp is huge. Because that Foul Play 35 is actually kind of annoying. Woach with the Terra on it, of course, does not really care about Flare Blitz like it normally would. And it would have Foul Play to 3-shot. Now it's not so clear, though. Foul Play is going to do a lot less. So let's see how this goes. So Morning Suns are being used. He's trying to get literally every curse he can because he needs to make sure he's bulky enough. Not bulky enough. He just needs to make sure he's strong enough to tap the Wochin with Blitz eventually. And also get through the Arcanine here. So Scorching Sands are just being traded. You see, very nice damage there. Very nicely done. And here you see that, yeah, that's where it is. The Arcanine gets killed by the Blitz. And in this arc here, we'll even go back. So Arcanine Morning Suns, Blitz, ka-chow, kills. And then the Woach comes out. It is faster because of all the curses, but because of the burn from Wisp, it can't kill Arcanine with Foul Play, and it just gets to recover all the way back up now. And that's going to be all she wrote, because there's no way for GXC to win. I'm going to just skip through the last turns, because it does not matter. Karaping. The Arcanine 6... I was going to say Arcanine 6-0'd stall, it didn't, but JYT 6-0's the stall build from GXC. Very nicely done. I thought he played really damn well. Got the Meloetta turn super early, too. Because, I'll put it this way, if he doesn't Focus Blast the Woach there, there's no guarantee he ever gets another chance to, because maybe GXC later on goes Florg on some mid-ground energy. Thinking, alright, well maybe now, early on I'm going to think he'll play more reserved in Psyshock here, but now he's probably going to try and Focus Blast me and catch me. I think he would have had a lot more leverage in the game had that been a Psyshock. But since he got blasted immediately, he's forced to Terra, and it just gives JYT so much momentum that JC really couldn't ever fully claw back. I hope all y'all enjoyed. SCL's in finals now. The NU slot is Stories versus McMegan. A drastically different tale of two players this tournament. Stories having a pretty rough tournament. McMegan having one of the strongest performances. On the flip side, Stories using much more interesting teams. McMegan stalling like every week and not being punished. Please start punishing this man. Why am I know Pokeslice brought Limber Ditto one week, and everyone kind of just forgot Ditto beats McMegan's Scout 50 billion times over, but can we, remember that now, please? Hope y'all enjoyed, though, for real. And I'll catch you next time. Hopefully with some RU. I got past an Armor Rouge team like I asked for. It was very thoughtful. Until then, though, take care of yourselves. Peace.